Hello, people. This is Socrates' son. Aha! What it says here? Scientists destroyed in 1 minute. Look, Imran Hussein. Okay. Let's see. This is a TikTok video. Is scientism true? Okay, guys, this will be a short video, under 1 minute. My video will be... No. No. My video will be longer. Where I will prove that is Imran Hussein doesn't even know what scientism means. So the expert in Islam that will destroy scientism doesn't even know what scientism means. Yes. Imran Hussein. Look. Mohammed Hijab. Look, guys, look. Mohammed Hijab. Next. Your turn is next. Reacting. Okay, let's go.
Is your view, your outlook, that science is the only way to truth?
Yes.
Okay. Have you been to India?
No, I haven't.
You haven't been to India?
I'd love to.
Okay. Do you believe India exists?
Yes.
You haven't been there, you haven't observed it, yet you believe it exists.
Yeah. Before we go to your moronic argument about India and this kind of stuff, first of all, what is scientism? I say scientism is the overstatement of the truth-bearing ability of science. You said what? Exactly. Science is the only way to truth. That is scientism. Eh? Maybe I'm wrong. You never know. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, let's go to the definition. Scientism. Thought or expression regard. Okay. Exercise belief in the power of academic knowledge and critiques. What? Wait just a moment. Sorry, guys, I cannot read because the letters are very small. Excessive belief in the power of academic knowledge and techniques. So, scientism is the excessive belief. Scientism doesn't say that the only path to truth is science.
Is your view, your outlook, that science is the only way to truth?
Scientism doesn't claim that science is the only way to truth. Scientism is the overstatement of the truth-bearing ability of science. So, in other words, Imran, your question doesn't refer to scientism. It's another question. Yet, you named your video. Let's see what you named your video. Scientism destroyed under 1 minute. Is scientism true? And in your thumbnail, you say this. Scientism is dead. No, it isn't. Imran Hussein. Now, I am addressing Muslims. How many other nonsense and idiocy this guy fed you? Spoilers alert, every single video. I have never seen Imran Hussein made a video which is true. Okay? Muslims, if you have the slightest intelligence, you will understand what I'm saying now.
Yes.
Okay. Have you been to India?
No, I haven't.
You haven't been to India?
I'd love to.
Okay. Do you believe India exists?
Yes.
You haven't been there, you haven't observed it, yet you believe it exists.
I've seen photographs taken from space.
So look, here's the problem, John. You haven't observed India yourself, yet you believe it exists based on photographs and people that have been there. Now, how do you know those photographs are actually of India? And that you're not just being told they're of India?
I think that
your belief India exists is based on something called testimony, which is, by the way, John, an integral part of the scientific method, right?
Well, yes.
Something you deny in your book itself. You're going by the testimony of people. Do you acknowledge testimony as a valid route to knowledge? It's a simple question.
There are many ways to truth. Science is the most reliable. Okay, so we have first science, then we have logic, then we have intuition, our emotional quality. Then we have things like, I don't know, even luck can lead to truth. For example, I can roll dice right now and come to a number that will lead to some truth. Even luck can lead to truth. Science is the most reliable way to truth. Now, the definition of scientism is the overstatement of the truth-bearing abilities of science. It's not science is the only way to truth, as you like to claim. Okay, so you made a mistake. Now, let's investigate who is overstating the truth-bearing abilities of science. Are atheists overstating the truth-bearing ability of science? Or maybe Muslims understate the truth-bearing ability of science? Let's see.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my fellow science enthusiasts. I hope you have all buckled up because we're in for a ride. And no, it's not a ride through space. So today we're looking at Ridwan's longest video. Just get some popcorn, I guess.
Oh, Amin, how exciting! Phew. My intros are also. Ρομίλιο, Άμστερνταμ, η Βερολίνο. Έχεις και τα σου πω πως θέλεις να πας. Όσα και αν έχω κάνει κάποια δεν σου δίνω. Να κάνεις βόλτες με το Magic Pass. Όσα και αν έχω κάνει κάποια δεν σου δίνω. Να κάνεις βόλτες με το Magic Pass. So, a viewer of mine in my last video said this. Bro, make more videos on Farid Response, please. I said, okay, brother, we'll do a last video. Response hates me. Okay. And then he said, you could choose any at random. Most of his videos are full of mental gymnastics. But I'd like you to cover his video which refuted apostate prophets' scientific errors in the Quran. Okay, I might do that right now. And imagine my excitement when I saw this guy. But how did we get here? Muslim apologists admitting there are no scientific miracles in the Quran. It began with Hamza Tzortzis when he put out his book Embryology in the Quran and took a huge resentment from the public and scientists. The Quran is a comedy in science. No matter how deluded you are, there comes a point you realize no prospect in this mundane war. So Hamza Tzortzis shifted his apologetic approach to the philosophy of science. In a nutshell, we can't really know anything, so it doesn't refute Islam. Using philosophy to reduce the impact of modern science to the integrity of the Quran. And that dogma is adopted by Imran Hussein, Subboor Ahmad, Mohammed Hijab, and all these guys. Mansour, and now you, Amin. Okay, now you know the story, how that happened. What you don't know is that this admission refutes Islam. But you will learn that in a couple of minutes.
Sometimes we belittle the Quran accidentally. When we see an ayah in the Quran that talks about, for example, the camels and how we created it, or when Allah says that you were an alaqa, you were a nutfatin min maniyyin, or when Allah talks about natural phenomena, what do straight away? We say, scientific miracle. This is rubbish.
So, your book is rubbish, after all.
Sorry, this is wrong. Because what we've done, we've made science into a god now. We've deified science. And we've limited the Quran. Science changes. I've just spent a whole year studying the philosophy of science on a postgrad level. And I'm telling you, there's no certainty in science. Study it. Just Google. Go type in scientific realism. There's an anti-realism. Instrumentalism. There's a big discussion on can scientific theories represent the state of affairs? Are they representations of the truth? Or are they just good models? Or are they just useful?
Okay, this is the concept. This concept was Subboor used in his debate with Aaron Ra at Speaker's Corner. Do you remember?
For the purposes of this discussion. And
What
I
is
said,
that definition?
Yeah. And that's the definition I used. Which I'm
What
about to
is
use.
it?
Which I said was something absolute, something that's not going to change, and something that can't be revised.
So, according to Ahmad Subboor, when he investigates evolution, a fact is something absolute, something that is not going to change, and something that cannot be revised. In other words, Subboor said that the science of evolution is not a fact, as the requirements he sets for something to be a fact cannot be met by definition. Ahmad Subboor stubbornly will refuse to call evolution a fact, not because he's got strong evidence against evolution. In fact, he admits that the evidence are strongly in favor of evolution. But he rejects evolution because the definition of a fact he demands is so high that cannot be met. The same guy, look what he demands when he is to demonstrate the truth of Islam.
Just for its amusement.
Okay, good question. Now this question boils down to, how do I know what I am saying is actually true? Because if I come along to you, James, and I say I have this book is from God, and this is the Quran, and this says the purpose of life is to worship God. Somebody else comes to you, James, and says, actually the purpose of life is something else. You have the right, sir, to say, what proof do you have, what evidence do you have that this is the word of God? Because I could make up an arbitrary purpose and he could make up an arbitrary purpose. Anyone can write a book. There has to be some form of evidence. It's like this. There are miraculous parts of this book which cannot be explained using human agency. And that's something we can objectively argue about. The second point is, if you sincerely as a human being, you ask for guidance, God will show you this is the truth. But that's not an objective argument. So the first one is. So let me explain to you why.
But wait, Subboor, I thought facts are something absolute, something that's not going to change, and something that cannot be revised. That's not facts now. Facts is something that we can objectively verify. That is facts now. Okay, sorry. I misunderstood. Okay, please go on.
Now, what's the criteria to test whether something is or is not a genuine prophecy? I want to ask you that. How would you discern the truth from falsehood?
You'd use empirical evidence.
Exactly, you would use empirical evidence. Something verifiable, something falsifiable, and something precise.
3 again. Something verifiable, something falsifiable, and something precise. It's not the other 3. Something absolute, something that is not going to change, and something that cannot be revised. Now with the prophecies is something verifiable. In one case, empirical evidence cannot establish facts for evolution. In the second case, empirical evidence can establish facts for prophecies in the Quran. It starts to become abundantly obvious that Subboor misrepresents the truth-bearing ability of science when it fits him, while he tunes his skepticism to always reach to the same conclusion, irrespective of evidence. But thankfully, the other giant of the argument of scientism in Islam, Hamza Tzortzis, the other giant of objectivity, doesn't do that. He does even worse. Look, he will happily say that even a hug might be enough when it comes to accept Islam.
Innate disposition, has a ruh, a soul, has a qalb, a heart, has a aql, and the intellect is a function of the heart in the Islamic tradition, and it has a fitrah, and the fitrah is clouded. And within the fitrah, the innate disposition, there are forms of proto-knowledge in the Islamic tradition that God is a reality and that He's worthy of worship, but that clouded. So it could be that a sound, rational argument, philosophical argument, whatever, can uncloud your innate disposition to awaken the truth within, or it could be something else, or it could be a combination of things. So when you ask me, it needs to be demonstrated, well, I need to find out who you are. because I don't know where your cloud is. Maybe you need a rational argument. Maybe you need a good hug. Maybe you need some love. Maybe you need some really strong Quranic verses to wake you up, because the reason for your disbelief is arrogance, right?
Guys, that's priceless. That's priceless. Okay. The two prominent proponents of the argument of scientism in Islam do this kind of contradictions. I mean, in one case, empirical evidence is nothing when it comes to evolution. DNA confirmation, nothing. The fossil record, what's that? Fossil record, what's that? DNA, what you say? DNA, nothing. In the other case, a hug is enough when it comes to accept Islam. A hug, you don't need anything else. Just a kiss. You want a kiss? A hug, maybe? When you have to... Muslim apologists tune their skepticism to always conclude Islam is true. What is tuning skepticism? Overstating reason and evidence when it fits my argument, understating reason and evidence when it doesn't fit my argument, or destroy completely the foundations of reason and evidence when my argument is hopeless. Muslim apologists, when they don't abuse the philosophy of science to delude their audience and themselves that they are reasonable to believe unreasonable things, they will also challenge the foundations of what we can really know with presuppositional apologetics.
Fundamentally, this is what I want you to understand. In this conversation, there are two people who are not actually talking on the same level. There is a Muslim who is looking at the world through lenses, green lenses, and he's looking at the world as green. And there is a non-Muslim who is looking at the world through red lenses. So what's happening in the conversation is the Muslim is saying, this is green, this is green, this is green. The non-Muslim is saying, this is red, this is red, this is red. Why is that? The reason is, this is the case is because the Muslim is looking at the world through the lenses of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. He believes that this man called Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the final messenger of God, therefore whatever he says is true.
Muslims, now seriously, do you still think that Richard Dawkins misrepresents science to promote atheism, and not Subboor misrepresents science to promote Islam? Do you seriously still believe that?
Is known as the affirming the consequent fallacy. Basically, when you assume a theory and look for evidence, and then when you find the evidence, you assume because you found the evidence, this now proves the theory. When the evidence could be there for various different types of reasons other than your theory. Here's a logical example. Premise 1. If I find a mail in my mailbox, it will prove that people love me. Premise 2. I found a mail in my mailbox. Conclusion. Therefore, people love me. Well, the problem here is that it could very well be the case that it's a hate mail. So, it doesn't really prove anything.
According to Islamic defense, because scientists might error when interpreting science, science became just like any other theory based on logic. Is this true? Or maybe he's using sophistry to understate the truth-bearing ability of science. We don't know, because as we all know, he refuted me in a response video, so that argument might still be true. In fact, it is true. If you see in his response videos, he refuted me. So this argument now is true. Okay? Okay, forget that. That argument now is true.
Now, what I want to do is this. These are aspects of Islam that we all believe in and accept. What if I come along and I tell you something? I tell you hypothetically, before you do takfir on me, hypothetically, there is a sahih narration of the Prophet ﷺ that you have to wear a yellow hat on Sundays. Hypothetically. Raise your hand if you're going to wear a yellow hat on Sundays.
That is blind faith. So, what Subboor said, that if there is a Sahih hadith, in other words, Mary said to John, John said to Bill, Bill met Ibn Abbas, and Ibn Abbas said Mary was reliable, and Mary vouched for John, and Ibn Abbas knew Aisha, who had a sister that knew Muhammad, and Muhammad said, he will wear a yellow hat now, every Sunday. Okay, that's the logic of ISIS, my friend. Complete disregard of logic. Just follow instruction blindly. Okay, just follow Islam blindly, in other words. Islam is over science. If science contradicts Islam, we get rid of science. Now, this shameless, okay, that's shameless, okay. Shameless. Okay, this shameless blind cultists will advise Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins. The guy that, a scientist.
Welcome to the Darwinian Delusions channel. Today I want to cover human-chimp ancestry, human-ape ancestry. Now this is shown to the public like a brute fact. It's just a part of reality. It's a no-brainer. You'd basically have to be an idiot to deny human-chimp ancestry. This is the sort of pressure that Darwinists actually put on the public through documentaries, through popular videos, through science popularizers.
Ah, nice. This is a perfect example how Subboor will set straight people like Richard Dawkins who misrepresent science to advance atheism. Ah, okay. Let's see who misrepresents things. I mean, it's obviously Dawkins. Otherwise, how is he so confident?
Yet, it's quite interesting that when you actually go and look at the academic literature, you find out this is a speculative idea based upon assumptions, and there's conceptual problems with those assumptions.
Yet, not a single scientist this guy quotes. Okay, I have seen, I actually went to his references. Not a single scientist this guy quotes, evolutionary biologists, doubts humans evolved from apes. But that's irrelevant. Never mind, continue.
Now, human beings and chimpanzees, we have some similar traits physically. Because of this, Darwinists say, look at this physical trait, look at this physical trait, therefore they have a common ancestor. Well, this is an assumption, and this assumption is known as homology. Similarities are due to common descent. Now, fair enough, you can have that assumption and you can come up with, they have these nice neat diagrams in textbooks, and they say human beings and chimpanzees split up about 6 million years ago. Funnily enough, a few decades ago, they said it was not 6 million, it's 20 million years ago, so they revised it and dropped it by 14 million years. Nonetheless, it's fine if you actually have that, but when you actually look at how they came up with this figure of 6 million year split and how they believe that, why they actually...
non-intellectual buffoon. Okay, it's not just homology, it's other crossing evidence. They found the fossil. Look what this shameless, shallow, non-intellectual, complete buffoon. Sorry, my friend, but you deserve it, okay? You stand in front of a camera and you say this kind of stuff. You deserve it. I like you as a person. He's got a good soul. He reads, although he doesn't understand anything, but he's a gentleman. Okay, I like you. But you are an idiot, my friend. If we assume that you are not doing that on purpose, if we assume that you are that of an idiot. Homology, guys, what is homology? Homology is apes and humans have certain characteristics that are similar. This guy just claimed that this is the reason scientists concluded that humans evolved from apes. They saw some similarities and they said, his nose look like this. He also straightforward. He stands on his 2 feet. Some DNA is the same, therefore the same. How you understate science is amazing, my friend. It's disgraceful. Okay, look how low he thinks of science. Seriously, scientist is that naive and that shallow and that they look the same, therefore the same. This is science. The reason scientists know with 100% certainty humans evolved from apes is because they dig from a same sample and they found in layers of the ground, in one layer representing time scales, in one layer 2 million years ago, let's say, all a specific fossil, in other layer all a specific fossil, in other layer all a specific fossil. Those were not crossing and they were gradual from an ape to human. And then they did DNA, the second chromosome, and they saw that the second chromosome of an ape is merged. And then they saw the chromosome in the DNA of humans, and it's also merged in the same place. Okay, that is the evidence. The evidence is not, just homology. You imbecile. Okay, you shameless buffoon. I got angry because these guys, okay, it's one thing in a conversation where they say this kind of nonsense, but they stand in front of a camera all you know. Shut the fuck up. Okay, let's continue.
Now, what's the criteria to test whether something is or is not a genuine prophecy? I want to ask you that. How would you discern the truth from falsehood?
You'd use empirical evidence.
Exactly, you would use empirical evidence. Something verifiable, something falsifiable, and something precise.
Something verifiable, something falsifiable, and something precise. But that's not evolution. That humans evolved from apes. That's not that. But that is Islamic prophecies. Is that what you are saying right now? Okay. Expose, my friend. Whoever doesn't see this, okay, you don't deserve to watch my videos. Go play PlayStation. Okay? Okay. Guys, the evidence for humans evolved from apes, from a common ancestor with apes, it's the kind, okay, more than gravity, okay, verifiable, 1,000 times, mountain of evidence, DNA, all the fossils of the world say the same thing. They predict that they will find something there, and they go there and they find it. This kind of evidence we are talking about. They look in DNA, they predict that there we will find this, and they go with a telescope and they find it. They dig and they find gradual fossils from an ape to human. That's like a photograph, my friend. If you dig and you find gradual fossils from an ape to human, not crossing, that's a photograph. That's like watching it in front of you. That's like watching apes evolve to humans in front of your eyes. That's how strong is this evidence. Now you say, this evidence is not that, but prophecies in the Quran, you mean disproven things. That's evidence against the Quran, my friend. My friend, the prophecies you are referring to are Christian Prince comedies. literally, my friend. And you claim that that is the strong evidence, but the other is not the strong evidence. But Richard Dawkins overstates the truth-bearing ability of science to promote atheism. It's not you that understates the truth-bearing ability of science to promote Islam. Is that what's going on, eh? Okay, that's this video. Whoever sees this video and still thinks that the argument of scientism is a good argument for Islam, what can I say, my friend? Thank you very much.